Hello and welcome to this tutorial on the punctuation mark, not the body part, of the colon. And we'll have a little bit about a dash, but I'll explain a lot more of that in a separate tutorial. So let's start with this. What do you think a colon is? What does it look like? Take a pen, take a piece of paper, and write down a sentence that includes a colon. Once you have done that, put it aside and write down these three sentences. Number one, I'm going to the store to buy bread, eggs, and milk. Number two, I'm going to the store to buy some food, bread, eggs, and milk. And number three, at the store, I'll buy some food, bread, eggs, milk, that we'll eat tonight. All right, hit pause, replay this, give yourself some time to write those three down, and this is what they look like. Now, in all three of these sentences, there are these three items, bread, eggs, and milk. But only one of these three sentences has a colon. You'll notice the first one here, it's just a complete sentence. The list comes within the sentence itself. All these things I'll explain more in a moment. This next one, we have a complete sentence. I am going to the store to buy some food. And now we have the colon right there and the list. The third one, the list of items comes in the middle of the sentence, not the end of the sentence, the middle. And that's when you want to use a dash. Once again, I'll explain more about this later. But this is the punctuation device we have when the sentence is continuing. At the store, I'll buy some food, bread, eggs, and milk that we'll eat tonight. Now, let's look for now just at a colon. In the next tutorial, I'll explain more about dashes. So let's start with this, colons. Based on this, these three samples here, what do you think the rule might be for a colon? Well, here it is, and then I'll give examples for each of the three parts of this definition. The rule for a colon is used after an independent clause. That means a complete sentence that can stand on its own independently, to direct the reader's attention to a list. That's what we have with the bread, milk, and eggs. To appositives. That's a fancy word for names that rename other nouns. Or to quotations. Now here's examples for each of those. Now remember that for all three of these sentences, there is an independent clause and then the colon. All right, for number one, this is the example of when we have a list. Go get the stuff in the trunk of the car, colon, groceries, tennis rackets, and my hat. That's the list. The second one, we have the complete independent clause. My roommate is guilty of 2 deadly sins. And then we have an appositive, a naming of that. Gluttony and sloth. And number three, again, an independent clause. Remember these words about soccer. Okay, that can stand on its own. And then we have a quotation. Soccer is not a matter of life or death. It's much more important than that. So that's the rule and the examples of the rule. But let me zero in here to point out just a couple of details. And that is, right here, you'll notice that there is no space before the colon, but there is a space afterwards. Also notice that this is not capitalized. Go back here, you'll see the same thing here. No space before, space after, not capitalized. In the third example, notice that same thing with the spacing going on. No space before, space after, but this is capitalized because it's a complete sentence that follows that colon. And so just to repeat these two details in terms of spacing, no space before the colon, but there is one after. For capitalization, no, you don't capitalize after the colon unless it's a complete sentence. Now there are 3 times when colons are often improperly used, and let's go through them one at a time. The first is when there isn't a complete sentence before the colon. For example, here, some important items in my backpack are my license, my wallet, and my cap. So I see this a lot after the word are. Yes, there is a list following it, but we're in the middle of a sentence here. So actually, we don't want any punctuation at all in here. So that's very different than a sentence like, these are the important items in my backpack, colon, my license, my wallet, and my cap. The second time there often is a mistake is between a preposition and its object. Sometimes people put a colon in here. The heart's 2 pumps each consist of an atrium and a ventricle. So yes, there are some details following, but we are in the middle of a prepositional phrase, so you don't want that there at all. And the third, and I think most common time that a colon is improperly used is after words like including, for example, such as. So yes, there is a list, like in this case, volleyball and basketball, but as I read this to you, perhaps you'll hear that we're just in the middle of a sentence. Columbia College has sports teams, including volleyball and basketball. So be wary of that colon there. You don't want anything. Same down here. Columbia College has sports teams, such as. Be wary of that word, such as. Nope, you don't want a colon there at all. Simply, Columbia College has sports teams, such as volleyball and basketball. Okay, and that's it for colons. Just as a quick review, remember what it looks like, a colon. It's a dot above a dot. Remember that you have to have an independent clause before you use it. It's used for lists, for appositives, for quotations. Remember that there is no space before the colon, a space after. Remember that you don't capitalize the word that comes after the colon unless you're starting a sentence, or of course a word like I, a word that is naturally capitalized. And be wary of those times when colons are often mistaken, when they're improperly used, especially after words like such as, including, for example. In those cases, no punctuation at all, just run right into the list. And now to see if you have really learned all these things about colons, write down these 4 sentences. I like visiting American states, such as Oregon, Idaho, and New Mexico. Number 2, my classes at Columbia are English, math, and science. Number 3, my life is full of technology, computers, cell phones, and robots. And finally, number 4, remember your teacher's words. Master the colon, and you've mastered life. Okay, write those down, and this is what they should look like. Let me point out a couple of things here. With that first one, you have the expression such as, so be wary, you don't want a colon in there. No punctuation at all. The same with number 2. My classes at Columbia are, no colon there. You don't have an independent clause that's standing alone, so no punctuation at all. With number 3, yep, my life is full of technology. That's an independent clause. We have let me go back here. We have a need for a colon because the list is coming up here. This is not capitalized. You have a space in here, but no space over there. All right, and finally a quotation. Remember your teacher's words, colon. Master the colon and you've mastered life. So it's what it should look like. This is capitalized because we have a new sentence picking up there. All right, that's it for this tutorial on colons. I hope it's been clear and has helped you out. I encourage you now to look at the next tutorial on dashes, a punctuation mark that is related to colons. Okay, bye-bye.